Now, I go further to say that I do have an understanding that there are arguments out there that it's preferable to keep the National Political Killings Task Team because of its unique focus and ability to combat organized crime. And I want to state it that that's a wrong argument, because the National Political Killings Task Team was not designed to combat organized crime in general, but they were established and designed to focus on political killings, which, in other words, killings which are politically related. And they have been doing that, strictly just that, political killings or assassinations or murders that are deemed to be political related, not other matters, not any other matter, as it were. And I will indicate later through figures or some stats that make an effort to make us understand what the Political Killings Task Team was all about. But I don't think that it is fair to devote substantial resources to one category of killings in the country, which is politically related killings and not any other killing. When the evidence is that there is an urgent need to focus on all matters. Ever since I got, or we got appointed to the ministry, what the concern of cabinet has been, the concern of the portfolio committee has been, the concern of the public has been, it has been a very high and unacceptable rate of murder in South Africa. That has been the concern that has been drummed into our heads all the time, and we believe in that the rate of murders alone, not just crime, but murders in particular, is very high, unacceptably so. That's why, among other things, I took the initiative of calling a meeting together with the deputy ministers of the National Commissioner in November and provincial commissioners and the deputy national commissioners, just to focus on 4 crimes that we believed by that time we had observed as being a major concern in the country. That is murders, proliferation of firearms, proliferation of, if I could use that word, of drugs in the country, and GBVNF. We focused on those only. Now, those kinds of situations or those crimes, as we identified them in November, they rather dictate to your conscience and yourself as a need, pointing to a need, maybe not exclusively, but almost exclusively, that you need to attend to those, because they are the ones who characterize criminality in South Africa more than any other. When people say there's crime in South Africa, they're pointing to murders. They are pointing to these other 3 that I've indicated. Hence, our focus. Much as political killings, as identified in 2018, are important, there is murders of councillors and other officials at the local sphere. Much it is important, and it was important to attend to that. But there is a need to recognize that outside that number or that category of people, there is a lot that is happening. And therefore, we can't keep on focusing on just one category, which in my view is small compared to the other, as statistics will indicate. I then proceed to try to get deeper into the changes that were necessary and necessitated by the directive that I issued on the 31st of December last year.
Where are you now, Minister, in your statement?
I'm on paragraph 99. I'm proceeding to paragraph 99. A central consideration that informed my approach was the need to strengthen SAP's permanent structures rather than continue to rely on a temporal project. And this was based on observations. So by late 2024, it was increasingly clear that concentrating significant resources exclusively on politically motivated matters was no longer efficient or justifiable. Relative to the national burden of violent crime, political killings constitute a small proportion, and a broader systemic consideration was required. Now, by saying this, I do not mean that there is no need to focus on political killings. But I'm simply making the point that for me, the disproportionate spend on the country's resources for political killings, while other systematic matters are ignored, can never be justified. What I wanted to achieve, and still do, is a balanced approach to crime fighting, particularly where matters are concerned. If I could pause and just indicate three things about the landscape of matters in South Africa. One, it is to that, according to the Global Initiative, in the report they issued last year in April, they identify 4 categories of assassinations or murders in the country, that is in South Africa. One, it is organized crime that takes the largest portion of lives in the country. And they estimate it to 35% of murders in the country. This is followed by assassinations or murders within the taxi or around the taxi industry, which is estimated around 34%, which is a percent lower than the organized crime. And then this is followed by the third category, which is political killings, estimated at 24%. And the last one is personal killings, which is estimated at 7%. Now, if you put aside the Global Initiative and look at your own stats in South Africa of murders, they definitely fall within those four categories, by and large, which means that the highest category of murders in the country are those flowing from organized crime, whether it is extortion, whether it is in any other form, followed by taxi industry-driven or murders associated with the taxi industry, and political killings in the third category. This is the first point that I want to make in terms of the landscape. The second point I want to make is that there are 4 provinces that constitute about 83% of murders in the country. 4 provinces. It is Gauteng, where we are. It is KwaZulu-Natal. It is the Eastern Cape and the Western Cape. Those 4 provinces combined constitute continuously 83% of murders in the whole country. Now, so when they say South Africa has a high murder rate, unacceptably high murder rate, in fact, in terms of figures, we are talking about murders that occur in these 4 provinces. I'm not saying that it excludes the other provinces, but I'm just saying up to 83% just in the 4 provinces, all combined. Now, I now want to indicate in figures. I'm not sure whether I did ask that these figures, because it's for the benefit of the public to clarify these points as clearly as possible. I don't know whether I did that. If I did, I would request that these statistics be displayed as I go through them.
Minister, I think that the request had not made it through to us, but that shouldn't be a challenge. We will be able to project from your statement as we have it. Just so I understand, you have statistics appearing at page 38.
Yes.
And spilling over into 39. Firstly, under which paragraph, which statistics would you like to have projected?
I will just take the
101, paragraph 101,
yes.
After 101 or 102? 101.
101 first and then 102. And then I would request that I also take that graph on page 40.
Okay. Not so soon, it turns out.
Okay, thank you.
But I believe you may continue as soon as it comes up, then you will turn your attention to the table.
Okay.
Thank you.
So at the end of the statistics that we will indicate, which will also take us to some of the figures that we have on, as we will be comparing, the summary that comes out of these figures and the graph. It tells you that between the years 2016-17 and 2024-25, SAPS recorded an average of 23,043 murders per year national. 23,000 and 43,000. No, 23,043 national. And then you go to KZN alone, the average there annually is 5,314. Now, this against the backdrop of the National Political Killings Task Team murders with an average of 18 political murders per year over years 2015 up to 2024. We were just indicating averages to make my earlier point after the statistics. I may as well, because stats are now here, to indicate what I wanted to indicate. So in one, you will see that from 2011 to 2015, we deliberately went back there to show that in those 4 years, political murders were 11. This was before the establishment of a PKTT. And then there are other categories like politically related cases and political related cases and so on, the total. But I want to jump to 2018 in the interest of time, the year of establishing, or the year in which PKTT was established. There were 14 murders. And then 2019, 15 murders, 2020, 15 murders, 17, 27, 11, and by 2024, you were talking about 7 murders because the graph went down in 2023 of politically motivated murders down to 11 and then to 7. Now, 102. Now, 102 indicates just in KZN, flowing from those figures above, to indicate that in those years, political, not political matters in KZN. You are talking about between 2011 and 2012. 2011, 2012, and then 2015 to 2016, you are talking about 18,396. Now, you compare, as I say, with the figure above, which indicates which is politically motivated matters. 11 and 18,000, in other words. Now, I'm not even taking those of the country, which is 85,000 at that time. But let's go to 2018, because that 18,000 is a combination of years. But I'm now taking 1 year. 2018, in KZN, there were 4,382 matters. Just to continue referring to the stats, in that year, in 2018, you had 14 that were political, that were identified as political. Just 14. But these are lives, of course, and I shouldn't even add just. It's 14 lives that were. But outside politically motivated, you had 4,014, 2018. Now, 2019-20, it's 4,859. And there were 15 matters in 2019. 2020, there were again 15 matters, political, in terms of politically motivated. But in the same year, in KZN, you had 4,859. Now, 2020 to 2021, 4,825. 2021, so the whole figure goes like that. But this side, by then, the combined figure is 27,494. Now, let's go to the graph, which is on page 40.